What's going on, everybody? Louie T here from Because Bitcoin, and it's Tuesday. You know what that means. We are back with another crypto market update. Are we wrecked, or is this opportunity? I'm looking at it as an opportunity, right? And I'm going to dive into the charts, going exactly why I think so. I'm going to run through all of those stocks I mentioned, as well as we're going to start off with Bitcoin. Before we get started, hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on post notifications. We're going to be dropping a lot of new products, guys, over the next month or two. If you're in the Discord, you're getting exclusive and, access before anyone else does. So get in there, check it out, and I will see you in there. But let's dive in. I want to start with Bitcoin real quick before I jump into these stocks because, well, most likely they follow Bitcoin, right? They have a high correlation to Bitcoin and the crypto market. So I want to start with Bitcoin because we did have a bigger move down. We had a continuation move down here. So Bitcoin now, as we stand, right, from the all-time high to the low, we made a week or so ago, 52% move down. So a pretty significant move, even for Bitcoin. That's a pretty big move to the downside. Usually in a bull market, the biggest you see is around 30%, 33%, something like that. 52% move to the downside in just a couple months is pretty significant, right? So we did pause back here, right? I was pretty cautious. I got a little bullish, calling for a move higher. We did catch that move. However, that move ended up failing. Didn't flip as bearish as much as I'd liked. We saw a pretty vicious move, continuation to the downside. But because we've seen a move to the downside, right? And I was getting a little optimistic here, does not mean now that we've had another leg down, I'm going to get bearish, right? Like if I liked prices here, why wouldn't I like prices here even lower, right? The discount is getting even larger, right? So we've seen another leg down in Bitcoin. We're now trading into probably the biggest demand level on the chart as far as the last couple years, right? We have this 8-month consolidation we put in 2024. This was a fun, great, dandy time. If you were around, I'm just kidding. It was awful. It was 8 months of consolidation, of back and forth, of going nowhere. But when you put in consolidation like this, right, this acts as great support when you come back and test it, when price comes back and tests these out. So although this was painful, this was 8 months of chop, it serves a purpose, right? Now this serves as market demand, where a lot of buying and selling was done previously. Now about 2 years ago, we're back at that same spot. We also have our 2021 all-time highs, right? Our double top as major support as well. So major significant psychological level, which is, that 69, 68K top we made back in the 2021 bull run. We have major support, which is this 8-month consolidation from back in 2024. We are at major demand here, right? So can Bitcoin come lower? Sure. Totally, right? If we see a big cascade in equity markets, Bitcoin can come lower. Much lower, I don't know. I really don't. I know you're going to be seeing a lot of doom posting out there. You're going to be seeing 20K Bitcoin, stuff like that, crazy numbers. You never count out demand or support as at giving out until proven otherwise. And this is the first time we're really testing it. We kind of front ran it here back in March and April. This is a true kind of throwback and test of this major level to just count on this giving out with the amount of market structure and demand we have here. Not probably a wise decision, in my opinion. Again, could be wrong, but for me, even if it's just for a bounce, you should be looking for some sort of reaction. Again, 52% off the all-time highs at major demand. If you actually also look at the weekly RSI is now fully reset. This is not a low time frame. This is a significant high time frame indication where when you reset and fully kind of come into the lows of the weekly RSI, it is, very significant and telling that you are at or near the bottom of your reaccumulation or a bounce of some sort. We did the same thing back here in the 2022 bear market. RSI on the weekly fully reset. And if you did any sort of buying or accumulating once the RSI reset, you were buying pretty much the lows, right? I mean, yeah, sure, you had the FTX drop, Black Swan event. You slightly made a lower low, but nothing crazy. But regardless, if you're accumulating or buying in this area, once the weekly RSI reset, you were sitting pretty just about 6, 9, 12 months later, right? And in profit. So we have a major 52% correction off the all-time highs. We have a weekly RSI reset. You know, you should be you should be looking for buying opportunity. At least that's what I'm doing, right? So I was a buyer of Bitcoin on this drop down. I was buying some IBIT, which is pretty much the stock market equivalent of Bitcoin. On this big plunge down, pretty much knife catching, right? Everyone tells you not to knife catch. I do sometimes. I do sometimes. Also, daily time frame, right? If we look at this, the daily RSI, we just talked about the weekly RSI, the daily RSI reaching levels we haven't seen since COVID, right? Reaching levels we haven't seen since COVID. So this drop from the all-time highs, especially like the last week and a half, very significant move. I haven't seen a move down like this in a long time, if not ever. Even in these bear market times, guys, this was like consecutive day after day after day, pretty much straight down, little to no bounce. You don't get that very often. So much so, daily RSI back to levels that we've seen since COVID without a black swan event, right? So these times where you get these major selling moves and fully oscillating reset, especially without a black swan event, doesn't come around very often. And in my opinion, should be treated as a buying opportunity, not a time to get bearish after we're down 52% off all-time highs. That's just my opinion, though. And that's how I'm treating this. So that's Bitcoin, guys, right? So again, you know, I wouldn't be, you know, I totally understand being cautious, right? Or waiting for some sort of confirmation. But I am treating this as, okay, all the things I just mentioned, weekly RSI reset, daily RSI hitting levels we have not seen since COVID or the 2018 bear market lows. Major demand. For all these reasons, I'm looking for buying opportunities, right? So I mentioned I wanted to talk about stocks, right? So I didn't do a video last week. I was not around, but 2 weeks ago, did a video on some of these crypto stocks, right? One of them being MicroStrategy. So I kind of want to just give an update on these stocks and kind of give my thoughts, right? So again, similar to Bitcoin, guys, MicroStrategy is pretty much a more volatile version or beta to Bitcoin, right? So I was eyeing potential, you know, swing or, you know, bounce plays on MicroStrategy in this area. Bitcoin obviously came lower. Obviously, MicroStrategy came lower and pretty much touched down, right? We pretty much touched down into the 2021 all-time high, just like Bitcoin did. We're touching down and pretty much coming to the lows of this major consolidation and market structure we put in back in 2024. Touchdown, beautiful weekly kind of pin bar candlestick here off the lows. If I liked MicroStrategy here, sure, we dropped a little more. Sure, I was a little early. Guess what? I'm going to be early a lot. That's just my how I trade, right? I'm always going to be the first to kind of jump in. That's fine with me. It works for me over the long haul. So I liked MicroStrategy here for a bounce. We saw some more capitulation to the downside, touching major levels. If you want to check the weekly RSI, again, at levels we haven't seen since the 2022 bear market lows or COVID. Historically, those are great buying opportunities. There's no difference here today, right? You're gonna have all these bearish theses and things like that. The data says weekly RSI fully resets the lows. You know, that's historically, you know, over doesn't mean tomorrow, doesn't mean this week, doesn't mean next week, but over like a 3, 6, 9 month time period, you know, you're better off buying into these events rather than getting bearish and selling and running away, right? So I liked MicroStrategy here in this area for a bounce. We've since capitulated lower. I still like it here, right? I'm getting more of a discount now at this point. So believe it or not, a lot of the calls I took are dated out into like April and July. I'm still holding those, right? I'm still holding those because one, we've had a significant bounce. I'll zoom in a little bit. We've had a significant bounce off the lows. And if we do reverse, right, and do see some reversal out of Bitcoin, this will reverse just as hard and swift. Again, I have call options eyeing up this area, into April, June, July. I have time on these options, and I'm just going to sit it out. I didn't panic sell or puke into this capitulation low. I'm holding, maybe even possibly adding on market open tomorrow, or the following day to see if you get some confirmation out of Bitcoin. But ultimately, looking for some sort of bounce to the upside into this $220, $230, $240 area, major underside retest, and then we see, right? And then we see. But again, I liked it here for a bounce. I definitely like it here, right? Now it's just cheaper, right? It's like if you go to the store, you saw something on sale, you thought about buying, you did it, you came back, a week later, it's even on bigger, it's a bigger sale now. Are you not going to buy it? Like, oh no, it's a bigger sale. Don't like it now. That's kind of how you have to think about these things, right? So still like MicroStrategy. Yeah, became a little lower. Yeah, I was a little early, but again, I'm playing out 3, 6, 9 months from now. I think we'll be higher in that time period again, unless the whole entire stock market takes a shit, which is possible, right? I'm seeing some signs of that as well. But if it doesn't, we should be seeing some nice reversals and moves out of MicroStrategy. So still like MicroStrategy. Coinbase, it's been a while since I've seen a stock sell off like this. If you go to lower time frame, this thing pretty much cascaded pretty hard for multiple days, right? I was eyeing Coinbase in this area, even down in here, looking for some sort of bottom. This really cascaded and waterfall down. Probably, something where I'm not going to be adding to unless we see some sort of more confirmation of a reversal out of this thing. But this thing has shown a lot of weakness, more than something like a MicroStrategy and some of these other stocks I want to talk about. So because of that, going to be staying away. I do hold some options that I'm not going to panic sell, into a cascading move. Maybe if we get a bigger bounce, like I'll take that as an opportunity to sell some. Maybe I just hold on and we get that V-shaped recovery. You never know. But again, looking out to April, June, July, looking to get a bounce or a move up into these areas, 240, 260, 270. I will say, decent back-to-back weekly candles here. I would imagine the weekly RSIs also reset or touching down on key levels. That's significant. That would, signal potential reversal of some sort. So Coinbase has been weaker than most. So I would remain a little more cautious on this. I gave it a shot. This fell a lot farther and harder than most of the other stocks. So gonna probably stay away. Keep an eye on it though. If we make some progress, if we reclaim some key market structure, maybe take another shot and look to play this to the upside. I will say though, we swept some significant lows. We've came back, swept all of these local lows here. This is the third time coming down into this level in the last year and a half. Bit of a wonky kind of price, weird price action, right? You made a high, you made a higher high, you made even a higher high, all coming back to the lows. But I do like that we swept these lows, right? We took care of these lows, took out this liquidity. It would be funny on the third time. This is when you get the reversal. And everyone who's been trying to play Coinbase in the last 2 years is saying, screw this. I'm done trying to play this stock. And then it pulls a massive reversal. Also, this stock had earnings end of last week. Didn't give the best earnings, showed some growth, but overall bearish earnings, and pumped, I think, like 17 or 18% the following day on Friday. So not the best earnings, but this thing has been coming down for multiple months now, 6-7 month downside move. I don't hate it. I think it's probably in a value area, whether that's here or maybe even it comes a little lower. If it comes here, I'm probably a buyer. If it bounces here, I think that's pretty typical, right? After a cascade move down, everyone pukes out their bags. You get some sort of big bounce. So that's a lot of reason why I'm holding a lot of these positions. I have time on these options, but have to recognize it has been weaker. But the earnings came out. Maybe some of those question marks had been answered, and maybe people have more confidence in potentially bidding this stock if we get a reversal out of Bitcoin and crypto. Next is Riot. This is a Bitcoin miner. Believe it or not, this is actually back to where I was talking about it. So this one actually held up quite well compared to the rest of the stocks I talked about. Did have a sell-off with the rest of the market. I was talking about Riot back in here. Since that video, we saw a nice move up, but obviously sold off with the rest of the crypto market. But again, another one with a big bounce, right? And trying to reclaim a key level. I would say that key level is around $15. Above $15, I like this for bullish move to the upside, right? Looking at this on the weekly time frame, this is textbook price action, guys, right? Beautiful weekly candlestick, by the way, here. Beautiful weekly pin bar off that sell-off, big bounce. This was a beautiful multi-year consolidation. We got the breakout. We pulled back. We are trying to flip this area back into support. They call this a bullish throwback. And if you get above 15, I think you see the real move out of miners, right? So Riot, one of the stronger ones, again, that I was buying in this area. Yeah, we got the cascade. Didn't panic. Kind of just let the dust settle. And now is back at my entry price. And if this moves up, I'm actually going to be in profit pretty soon, right, on this thing. So, I never panic and sell into big cascading moves, right? Sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't, but it's always good to let the dust settle. But again, high time frame, this could be your breakout, throwback. You get the real move, right? And again, if you guys been following along, I called out Riot back here. We called a beautiful move. Got out up here. Now looking to replay it on the real move. So Riot, one that held up quite well. So definitely one that if we start to move higher, I probably will be adding because it's showing strength. Another Bitcoin miner I was talking about was Mara. Didn't hold up quite as well, but was already kind of like pretty beaten up down here. So it did have a bigger sell-off. Is technically losing some significant levels I didn't want to see lost. I would say for Mara, it has to hold this low, right? So we did kind of sweep that low, which is a pretty significant pinpoint low here from October 2023. We swept it. If it can hold above this low and start to push, this is still, and I have this drawing, this is still my my base case, which is multi-year consolidation coming into key significant lows. If we get a reversal out of this sector, we've been consolidating for years. This could be deep value buys. And we look to play it back to the upside. But if you're going to play Bitcoin miner, I probably would play Riot first. It's shown a little more strength. Mara's been a little weaker, especially over the last couple of years. Riot usually leads as well. So let Riot lead. If this starts to play catch up, maybe we come back to this. I'm still holding some positioning, but not much. I'm more so probably going to flip it into Riot because it's just shown more strength. Let this prove itself. Maybe reclaim $9, $10. We see something like that. Would love to get back in, play this to the upside, but have to recognize being a little weaker than other ones like Riot. BMNR, obviously highly correlated to ETH. Obviously saw a sell-off as well last week, but also saw a pretty big bounce, right? Coming out of that cascade. I would say you start doing something like this and reclaiming $22. This is another one. I have call options into April, May, June, July, eyeing this area, $30 to $40, right? So again, can see a bounce, So don't want a knife catch. I would say reclaiming $22, worth taking a shot. Metaplanet, still in a buy area for me. I'm pretty much going to be a buyer of Metaplanet in this zone. Let me put on the daily. In this white zone, I'm a buyer. I'm accumulating. Just spot, right? Just buying spot. This could turn out to being a beautiful rounding bottom. We're not chasing pumps. We're reaccumulating after a multi-year drawdown. I'm a buyer in this white zone, looking to play this back to the upside. Again, this is like a micro strategy to just buy Bitcoin. So some sort of Bitcoin beta and a Bitcoin treasury company that, access some different type of exposure to, Bitcoin and crypto. Last but not least, Circle, one of the stronger ones more recently. I really like if it could reclaim this low, right? If it could reclaim $64, $65, this is looking like a deviation of the ICO price. You get back inside, you can reclaim 64, 65. I'm looking for a big move back to the upside. So I am starting to build a position in circle. This is one I didn't mention last video, talking about it now. Held up quite well compared to the rest. Again, if it could reclaim 65 bucks, this is looking like a deviation and looking for a reclaim and looking for a push, back up into big levels, like kind of where kind of ICO'd, maybe even higher. This is like the number one. I mean, this is USDC, right? If you're in crypto, this is stable coins, right? So this is pretty much a crypto bank, they are the bank. So, you're buying a crypto bank at discount prices. That's kind of how I see it. But that is all I got, guys. I'll continue to update you guys on these stocks. If you want more in-depth day-to-day updates on these things, check out the links below and follow along there. But until then, safe trading out there, and I'll talk to you later. Peace.